Hi everyone, my name is Srishti and I am going to show you my sketchbook today. And since this is my first video, I'll introduce myself. As you already know, my name is Srishti and I work as a UX researcher right now. But previously, I was studying strategic design management at NID, that's the National Institute of Design at Gandhinagar. And before that, um, my undergraduate was from NIF Delhi. So you can say that I've had mostly design education all my life. And this sketchbook that I'm going to show to you today is a personal sketchbook. So it doesn't have any of my academic work, but this has all the work that I was doing outside of what I was doing academically. And because I used it for a really long time, that's about from the end of 2017 till the end of 2020 or mid of 2020. It has a lot of different styles. So you'll see mark making work, you'll see work that I did while I was a student at NID and also after, like once I started working. So yeah, and I'll just tell you about this sketchbook as well. It's an Arto by Campap sketchbook that I picked up a really long time ago. I picked it up when I was visiting the the Comic Con in I think 2014 or 2015. But like all nice stationery, I did not use it. I didn't get around to using it because I felt like it was too nice, and if I do anything, I'm going to spoil it. But when I finally went to NID, I realized that hey, this is the only sketchbook that I'm carrying with me, and that's why I had to use it. And because I was a student, I couldn't afford to buy so many. So yeah, and I finally started using it. It's a really nice format. It's square pages, which I really love, and it's also Viro bound, so it opens all the way, which is something that I really like in a notebook. I really don't like sketchbooks. Oh, sorry, sketchbook. Did I say notebook? Sketchbook. I really don't like sketchbooks that don't open all the way. I love for them to lie flat on the table. Yeah, it's a little bit annoying when you have Viro and then you want to make a whole spread. But for most part, I really like this format. I also like that it's hardcover, so I've been able to take it out and like go out and sketch. And it has perforated sheets, which might be nice if someone wants to tear off their pages and maybe exhibit it somewhere or frame it or gift it to someone. But as a rule, I don't remove pages from my notebooks, from my sketchbooks or my notebooks. And okay, now I think I'll just get around to the part. Here we go. In my first semester at my master's college, so at the time we were doing this course called Foundations of Visual Design, and we were working on mixing colors. And whenever I would like a color, I'd just paint a box with it. And around that same time, we were also working on some mark making exercises. So if you see any like random black scratches and like dots and splashes, that's from that exercise. And this is the same. This is still the same. This I'll talk about in a bit. Again, this is the same. I really like the black background, and then generally I don't like the color yellow, but I painted a square with yellow poster paint, and I really like this page. This one at the back, you can see this is also a result of that mark making exercise. But in first semester, I was reading this book called How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci, which is a really good book. And you know what, you guys should read it as well. They have some really good activities in order to develop your creativity and your critical thinking skills and your observation skills. So in case you're interested in something like that, you should definitely pick this book up. So this is one of the exercises where I was using my left hand to make a self-portrait, and I used perma-bake markers and a white pen on top of the existing mark making mess. And I really like this self-portrait. I think I like it better than the first one. Then this is also from some textures exercises from that class. Ideally I would want to stick something on top of it or draw something on top of it, but I never got around to it. This is also a residue from the same course. This is leftover pieces from whatever I was making at the time. This is something that I do a lot. So this is a tiny zine which I made as a little poem, and I like doing these things where, you know, something just folds and becomes something else. So I used to make a lot of these. Lately not so many, but this is from that. And this is an illustration. This is a fashion illustration that I did very recently, from this brand Pero. And one of the things I want to bring up is that this is not a chronological sketchbook, because a lot of times when I want to draw something, or I feel like there's a page that's empty in the middle, I'll just try to fill it. This is an observation drawing. Also observation, I think I took this reference from Pinterest. And this is also like some textures that I was doing. So the thing with this sketchbook is that it's really good for dry media and maybe some wet media, but it's not good for ink, because when I worked on this, not only did it come behind, but it came behind and also behind that, and this page also had a little of it. So you know, it wasn't a good idea to use ink on this paper. This is a page I also really like, and it was done by accident, to be honest. So I was working with some acrylic paints, and you know, it was a little bit dry coming out in the beginning, so I squeezed it against the paper, but I just kept squeezing it, and nothing came out except for this really thick paint which won't combine with water. But I really like how it turned out. This thing is actually also an exercise from that same Leonardo da Vinci book. Wow, it feels like I'm selling it. You know, guys, just FYI, I don't get money for like referring that book. Referring, is that the word? Yes, I don't get money for referring that book. Ideally, I think I should, but yeah, it's a really good book, and one of the exercises in it is called the 100 questions. And what it talks about is writing 100 questions in one sitting without thinking too much about what is the question that you're asking. And the first 10 or 20 questions that you ask will be like very generic, and it'll be very superficial kind of. But once you're done with 100 or more questions, you will be able to see that there are patterns in your thought process, which probably you did not realize. Like maybe you have certain curiosities in, say, specific subjects which you did not realize were there. So it's a good exercise for self-discovery as well, and I would recommend this book to anyone, you know, who's interested in that. The second, yeah, so this page also was part of the textures that I was making at the time, but you know, there's this page has this really ugly lace which I wanted to cover, and so this uses a piece of my resume from when I was attending placements in college, and I had a bunch of CVs left over, but the paper was really nice, so I decided to use markers on top of it. As you can see, you know, I used alcohol markers, but nothing bled through on the other page, so it's really good paper. And so these are drawings, not this one. This one is a drawing from this book called A Drawing a Day. Basically, it gives you cues for, I think, several weeks to do like one drawing based on that theme. This actually was the result of one of the classes I was taking at the time. The course was called Kitchen Person Myself, and it was about comic book making and exploring identity through food. The first exercise was to come up with a self-portrait of yours, and I felt like I couldn't make myself, and that's when I started exploring a lot of self-portraits, and you'll see them more often as I go in the book. And this is, I think this was also a picture reference from either Google or Pinterest. I don't really remember, it was a really long time back, and I don't have a reference written down here. This is also a self-portrait that I made, okay, so following from there, this is a self-portrait that I made, and I went ahead with this. This is a picture of my dog when he was a puppy, and this is a picture of my dog when he's grown up now. This is some random things stuck to a page. I don't really know what this is, it's just cool. These two are also from the Drawing a Day book. To be honest, I didn't finish all of them because I got a little bit bored in the middle, but if you are interested in challenges like that, I think it's a good book. I link that as well. Again, it's not an affiliate link. So, and this is some textures. This is also some texture that, like I said, this paper is really bad. It like bleeds over and bleeds over. But this is a texture that went really wrong. I didn't like it, so I just stuck something on top. Also part of my resume. This tape is nice, so it won't come off. Yeah, so you can see here some charcoal and stick of bamboo dipped in Chinese calligraphy ink. Yes, I don't like them very much, but they were good experiments. Also from the Drawing a Day book. Also from Drawing a Day. This is a fairly recent drawing because now I'm starting to experiment with color, because I realize I don't use color that much except for the textures. So yeah, Drawing a Day, also Drawing a Day. This is my dog Duster. You've already seen him. Okay, this is a self-portrait that I was trying to make for my portfolio, like my design or research portfolio. But I have a job and I'm not planning to move, so this guy's gonna wait, but I'll get to it eventually. This is a portrait, not portrait, but yeah, portrait artwork that I made by cutting out paper and not drawing anything except for the eyes, because I couldn't cut out paper that small. This is a print that I tried to make, which I'm not sure if it's completely visible or not. But yeah, this is a print that I tried to make, which I did not like, so I didn't finish. And this is some lettering of a quote from a song lyric. The song is called This Is Home by Switchfoot. And about 10 years ago, when my family moved countries, I was in a place where, I was feeling a bit homesick. The first couple of months were really exciting because I had a new school and new friends and new places to go. But after say 3 or 4 months, I started missing my old friends, my old school, old places near my house, old food. And this is one of the songs that kept me going. So recently I discovered it again and I thought I'd draw it. This is some studies from Pinterest references. Some prints that I tried to make, I don't really know. This is also something that I tried to make. Now there's this artist called Aziza. So she does things like this where she makes these intricate floral drawings. So I tried to see if I'd be able to draw something like that from memory by combining a couple of references. And I think it looks a lot like her work. So I'm not proud of that, but I also wanted to see if this is something that I was capable of doing. So yeah, it's a one-off thing, and I'll link her so you can look at her work, which is really, really cool. This is also, see, another self-portrait that I tried to make. I look nothing like this, but somehow I relate to this kid. And so in July I started making a list of the things that I wanted to do. So that's all these things. Did some of them, did not do some of them. Chahte kya ho? A coat with florals around it. And I think this day I was feeling particularly emo. So, well, I think we all have those days, right? If you relate, I don't know, just leave me a message or something. And this is something that I actually thought was very clever when I made it. When I was thinking about empathy and designing, and yeah, I think it's grown a bit old for me, but at the time I thought it was very, very clever. This is a picture that I made for 2 of my best friends, that's Esho and Shifu. And basically when we're together, this is how we are. We're like one creature with 6 arms and 6 legs, and not 3 individual people. And I love them both to bits, as you can see. And this is some loose drawing practice because I felt I was making a lot of structured things, or I had a lot of gap between drawing, so I was getting a bit stiff. So I decided to just loosen my lines out. Some brush pen, some sign pen, and some regular gel pen. This is a quote that I copied from Tumblr, not gonna read it. And this is also recent, so I'm trying to work with oil pastels, and these oil pastels are old, like they are at least 10 to 12 years old, because they're from when my brother was in primary school, and he's an undergraduate now, so it was really long ago. And yeah, and then I cut out these things from magazine pages, and I made this stamp by myself, which is here. It's a simple stamp that I made by cutting out a piece of cardboard from some extra packaging, and ta-da! And this is just me playing with some brush pen, so big brush pen, small brush pen. And this is my experiment with hand lettering. I'm not good at it, but I enjoyed it. Also hand lettering and brush lettering. And this is something that I challenged myself to do, and I wanted to just draw from references and draw from life more often. In August, when I was trying to finish this book really fast, I decided that I would draw more from life. Most of the times that I draw, it's been only very similar kind of faces or similar kind of body types that I've been drawing. Probably comes from my fashion background, where this was the mainstream, and I'm trying to explore a bit more and expand my horizons that way. So yeah, so I was trying to do a bit more variety in terms of like the faces and the expressions and the features. So yeah, this is, I think, one of my favorite spreads, because I love this guy, I love this guy, I love this girl. And I think so both of these are done in color pencil, and this one's done in my trusty brush pen. And I think they turned out well. I think the expression is captured. And yeah, and the second one, I wanted to work with highlights instead of shadows, because I just this is also something that I picked up from the Leonardo da Vinci book. I think that's become part of me now, that just because you're used to seeing things in a certain way, like for example here we're only drawing the shadows, so I thought I'd do the opposite here, where I'm only drawing the highlights, and the midtones and the shadows are basically covered by the dark paper. This one is a quote that really resonated with me, and this is a reference from Pinterest, the girl. And I take a lot of photographic references to paint, I think. Yeah, so that, I don't remember what this was. And this is a girl who I know, and I'm not going to say her name. I think she doesn't want me to say her name, but this is a picture of her. It doesn't exactly look like her, but I was exploring with more monotone colors. This is a friend of a friend, and this is a Pinterest reference. And this is like the tape that I use is this one. It's this Miniso washi tape, and don't be fooled, it is not sticky at all. So to stick this, I actually had to use Fevicol and like a tape behind it. So they're pretty, they look very nice, the colors are very elegant, but it's just not a nice tape. And this is a singer. Her name is Ariel Manzarek. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I will write it in the text. So yeah, I thought I'll try it on a different colored paper and see how it goes. And I like how she looks here. Here is again more drawing from reference. I think I messed up this angle over here somehow, but okay, we live and learn. This is the first from the Inktober, and the remaining are in other books. This is a diagram that I made one day when I was like really frustrated, and this is like the productivity procrastination / tiredness cycle, where you're forcing yourself to work and you can't focus because you're so tired, and then you take a break because you can't do any work, and then you feel super guilty for taking a break because you've not done any work, and then you force yourself to work, and it just keeps happening again and again. And yeah, this is just a fun doodle that I did with oil pastels. Nothing to say about it. This is something I'm not that cool
about, this is like part of her head looks like it's missing from here, like something should be here, but it's not there. I guess I was trying to make some fantasy person. It doesn't look like that. It looks more scary than fantasy. Well, and this is again same thing, sticking things on top of oil pastels, exploring with color. And that brings me to the end of this book. This is a bonus. This is also around the same time in 2017 when I used to live in a hostel. So this is my friend Shifu. We used to meet up in one of our hostel rooms, and on Saturdays we would try to draw something. So this is 1 and this is 2. And that is the end of my sketchbook. And thank you so much for watching if you watched all the way through. And since this is my first ever sketchbook tour, I would really appreciate your comments and your feedback, insults, recommendation, advice, anything. Thank you so much for watching. And okay, I'll go now.